Hello everyone, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on when you are actually accessing this message. I am Insightful Angel and I just want to welcome you in to another Melanated Monday message. I am really grateful and happy that you're here. I hope today's message resonates with you, and so let's check out what the energies that Spirit has for us for this week. Now, before I get into the reading, I have to let you know that I am overwhelmed. I'm kind of taken aback really, because I accessed my channel yesterday and I noticed that I have 60 subscribers to the channel. Now I know in the scheme of things, compared to other people who have hundreds of thousands, that's nothing. It's a teardrop in an ocean. I don't do these readings for that notoriety. I do them because I love doing it. I love accessing spirit this way. I love the artwork and the imagery on the cards, and they speak to me. I love connecting with my ancestors, and I like to share that message and that information with others. And if it resonates and it's useful to other people, then that's what I get out of it. So to see 60 people recognizing that these messages have some value and have some worth for them, it brings me great pleasure. And I completely believe, and anyone who knows me will let you know, that I've always been a person who believes we're here to connect and support, and this is my way of connecting. So I want to say a massive thank you to you 60 and those of you who've been with me from the beginning. And if you're new here, I just want to say welcome. And I am incredibly grateful to have you share this time with me. So to celebrate, I'd like to offer something to you guys. So at the end of this reading, I'm going to offer a free reading to one subscriber. And I'd like to do that just as my way of saying thank you. So if you would, at the end of this reading, the end of this video, in the comment section, leave an animal emoji, because today I am very much using the energy of the natural world. I just felt drawn to use the animals and get them to speak to us and get spirit to speak to us through them. So leave your favorite animal emoji, or just an animal emoji that you like, and a brief comment as to why you would like the free reading, and then I will message that person. I will reply to the person that I choose at random, and then we'll organise a time. We'll get each other's details and organise a time when I can give them a reading. My readings invariably last about an hour when it's a personal reading, so hopefully it will resonate, and hopefully it will give that person some guidance. And the ancestors are wobbling around today and I'm not quite sure why. Okay, I don't want them to fall off. So thank you so much, guys. I am truly grateful. It brings me a lot of joy to do this, and it really pleases me that my joy is being shared and is helping others. So thank you so much for your response. Thank you so much for connecting, and thank you for subscribing. Yeah, and I really appreciate you. Okay, so let's get started. One last shuffle. Okay, so just take a minute to thank my guides and your guides, my ancestors, your ancestors, and ask them to come through and give us our messages for today. Thank you. What messages do you have for the Melanated Collective today? Thank you very much, Spirit. Okay, hands are a little sore today. Oh gosh, let's see which is the best way to do this. I may have to cut the deck because my hands are struggling today. Okay, thank you, Spirit. What would you have the Melanated Collective know today? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for that. Okay, anything? What would you have us know today, Spirit? Okay, no jumpers today. All right, well, I'm going to keep going. I might have to edit the video just so you're not just watching like 5 minutes of me shuffling. Thank you, Spirit. Okay. Oh, okay, we have... Right, this one flipped over. So we have Oh, sorry, got a new camera, so I have to get used to where to position it. We've got setting up parameters. Yeah, I decided to use a slightly different camera today, so it's a so I have to get used to where the camera is, but that's setting up parameters, and that's number 43. It says access your relationships and determine how they are aligned with your goals. Setting boundaries requires an honest evaluation of your present relationships. So for some of us, we may well have been sitting and thinking and wondering about the benefits and what we get out of some of the connections that we have in our lives. I do feel it's really quite, many of us are kind of torn, especially when it's close friends and family, and we don't recognize that as beings and as a human spirit and as a soul inhabiting this human avatar, you absolutely have the right to set the parameters for how you want to be treated, how you want to be spoken to, and how you want your relationships to operate. But many of us are afraid to do that. And it could be through conditioning when we're young, through having to obey and acknowledge elders or, you know, people in authority. It could be just shyness, it could be cultural. However, if we want our lives to flow and we want our lives to attract in the things that we envisage for our lives, our relationships are a very, very significant part of that. And how our relationships make us feel, because remember, it's your feelings that send out energy into the universe, which then resonates out and comes back to you and designs the life that you want. So if you're sending out energy, which is one of resentment, frustration, one of feeling disappointed, one of feeling disrespected, one of feeling ignored, then that's what you're going to keep generating. So that's a very powerful message for someone out there who really needs to, that one's flipped, perhaps evaluate the kinds of relationships that they're having. And it doesn't mean cutting people out necessarily, but what it does mean is speaking your truth and recognizing that you have the right to have your life and your relationships enhance your life, and you have the right and the power and to have connections which feed you. So we have the octopus, and this says, make progress, not announcements. Your next win requires some privacy. You can multitask and be more efficient without the distractions. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is, for some of us, there's something big coming. All right, and I think Spirit's been warning us about this. Well, not warning, been announcing delightfully that you're clearing the decks and something big's coming. I do feel very quite acutely that the last element of this clearing the decks is this one here. It is about finally, because I think this is talking to the people that are still in your life, the ones that you know you either can't get away from because they're connected by blood and they're close ties, or you want to keep them in your life, but you want the relationship to feel as if it's feeding you more and if it's a more pleasant interaction. And you need to do this in preparation for this big thing that's coming here. Because if this comes in and these relationships are not balanced and they're not operating in a way that brings you joy and makes you feel like these interactions are pleasant, then when this thing comes in, you're going to struggle. And it may well cause tension, may well cause upset, may well cause those relationships to become fractured. The keyword on here is flexibility. So this one is saying, make progress, not announcements. With whatever's coming, work diligently, keep at it, but don't necessarily announce to the whole world what is happening and what is changing for you. Okay? Get these into alignment so you can trust that when you're ready to make the announcement, that the people that are around you are going to receive it in the right way, and it's not going to necessarily break, fracture, or cause issues in those connections. So thank you, Spirit, for that. So let's just see what this beautiful new deck of mine that I've got has to say. This is the Spirit Animal Oracle. And the imagery is absolutely stunning. This looks like it's going to be a long reading today because I'm on 10 minutes already. All right. Okay. So I'll try and speed it up. So, all right. Thank you, spirit guides, angels, and ancestors. Okay. What do you have to say for us today? I did already shuffle, but I'll just give a couple more and see what else the animal world has to tell us. All right. Thank you. What do you have to tell us today, Spirit? What else would you have us know? What else would the animal kingdom like us to know for this week? And don't forget about the free reading. So don't forget to put your favourite animal emoji and a comment as to why you feel you should have the free reading. And I will choose at random and get, okay, we have Dolphin Spirit. Oh, okay. And it says this and that are true. Look at the colours and the imagery on there. Aren't they beautiful? So for each of these cards, I will now take their books and read what it is they want to tell us. All right. So we first of all had setting up parameters. All right. So this one says, assess your relationships and determine how they are aligned with your goals. Is a relationship taking away from the other areas of your life? Are you getting off track because of demands that are seeping into your personal space? Let's see if I hold that properly. If the primary reason for your connection with another is no longer a benefit, or if the relationship seems to be in a never-ending loop, it is time to make the decision to set some new boundaries. If you are being challenged personally, you will need to remain emotionally mature in dealing with the negative energy from others. You need to be clear in your own mind about what your boundaries are. You get to determine what is and is not acceptable on an emotional level. You are more than capable of being level-headed and in control of your emotions. Use your emotional intelligence to make smart decisions. Remember to not let circumstances or whims sway you from your core belief system and morals. This is also a reminder to reinstate boundaries you already have in place. The clown triggerfish is so named due to the various spots and colourful markings that appear on the fish. It is almost if the fish is wearing a clown costume or makeup. Clown triggerfish are very territorial and protective of their environment. The clown triggerfish is fearless and will protect its boundary. It does not care if it is smaller than a threatening predator. It will relentlessly confront its foe. So strong message there from Spirit saying, look, you have the right to protect your boundary, your space, your environment, how you are related to, and how people interact with you. And just like the clown triggerfish, doesn't matter if they're bigger than you, doesn't matter if they're older than you, doesn't matter if they have more power or position than you, whether it be in your life or your work environment, set your boundaries. Okay? You determine how you want to be, how you want to feel in your connections. And that mirrors the octopus, okay? Because remember the beginning of this one said, are you being distracted by some of those energies in your life? And this one is saying, you need to not be distracted. Be more efficient without distractions, okay? So for some of us, some of our personal connections are distracting us somehow from that energy that we need to be putting into ourselves and into the vision and the life that we're really on the verge of manifesting and that we've been working towards all this time. So don't let those energies distract you. As it said, as a clown triggerfish said, you are mature. You're emotionally mature enough to be able to not let them distract you, but you have to be clear, because otherwise that distraction will continue and the way that people interact with you will continue, and you will continue to generate those negative feelings. Okay, so we have the Dolphin Spirit. This and that are true. The Oracle message is, Dolphin Spirit, like her earthly manifestation, it is a reminder of duality. As a dolphin is both mammal and sea creature, so too is Dolphin Spirit. Both this and that. Two truths coexist, the story you tell and another as well. The duality of life is present when we are suffering, but there is a blessing too in the helpers that appear. Within clouds are silver linings. When we later reflect, on what happened, we can see that a situation was both this and that, and a choice led to both joy and sorrow. No relationship is either all good or all bad, and people have qualities of both light and shadow. Focus on the positive, for light exists alongside the darkness. Dolphin Spirit calls for you to come up from below and enjoy a weightless moment in the sun as you dive in and out of this and then that, accepting and even enjoying the duality of life. Right. And then the protection message says, when you most want to be acknowledged as right and see other ways as wrong, Dolphin Spirit appears as a reminder that the story of your suffering and righteousness is a little more complicated than you are admitting right now. Do you want to see things in black and white and be rigid in your ideas of what's correct and what is not? Release your rigidity and embrace the fluidity of life as you recognize the greys that remind you there are two sides to every story, an upside and each downside, and a blessing in every challenge. Okay, now remember, this talked about flexibility, and again, was it this one? Yes, the key word here was flexibility. Sorry, wait if you can see that there. Okay, so clearly our connections, our relationships, and I suspect these are some close ones, for some of us offering us, maybe we're thinking about it, some challenge in some way, and Spirit is asking you to be flexible in how you approach them, but at the same time have the courage of the triggerfish to set those boundaries. And I do feel quite strongly that the this and the that message is that thinking, don't be assuming that if you say anything or if you want things to change, that somehow it just means things will automatically fall apart and get broken, because what you may find is when you set your boundaries, that actually there is more balance in the relationship and there will be more respect in the relationship. And so, but say it from a position of flexibility, not from a position of being righteous or right, or that they are wrong. So be mindful and careful how you word what it is you need to say, but assert and feel quite powerfully also that you have the right to say it, okay? You have the right to set those boundaries. So let's see what else Spirit has to say for us today in support of that. Okay, right, okay. So we have the Fool, all right? Setting out on a new adventure. The Fool takes chances, got somewhere to be, new journey. Okay, so that I think very much echoing the Spirit here, right? Where was it? Oh, sorry, no, this one, the Octopus. Make progress, not announcements, all right? Set out on that journey. You notice the Fool's on their own, solitary. You don't have to take everyone with you. You don't have to tell everyone your business, all right? Make progress, not announcements. Your next win requires some privacy, okay? So that new thing that's coming towards you requires you to step out on your own. Maybe step out of your comfort zone, okay? She doesn't know where she's going, but she knows she's going. Okay, we then have the Ten of Swords. Okay, I'll go into these a little bit more deeply. I'll get all the cards out first. Okay, and the Ten of Swords is that disappointment, but he notices she's walking away from it. And again, another solitary energy card. Okay, but I'll give more information on that in a second. We then have the Tower. Okay, now the Tower is often seen as a very negative card. Oh my goodness, everything's falling apart. It's sudden. It is sudden change. It is sudden change. And this progress that you're making, the change is going to come in suddenly. Remember, I think we had this last week as well. We had the Tower, or a couple of weeks, for the last couple of weeks. I think we have the Tower. Something's coming in very, very suddenly, and you need to be prepared for it, because if you don't, the Tower often comes in, Spirit comes in and gives us that shift and that impetus suddenly if we are not making things, not changing things. And it's seeming to me that if we're not going to set these boundaries that we need to, then some Spirit will suddenly come in, and something, it can be devastatingly good or it can be devastatingly uncomfortable, will come in if we don't change it. If you see here though, even though this poor little rabbit's house is on fire, he'd been struck by lightning, the lightning indicating the suddenness of it, what do we notice here? Butterflies. And it's because there's better waiting. There's a better home waiting for this rabbit here somewhere. He had to get out of this comfort zone here because the butterflies represent transformation and change. And you see how these two cards, these solitary cards, are indicating that even though it may be solitary, even though you're moving and it may be sudden change, you're moving towards the transformation and change that is taking place and that the butterflies signify. So let's just ask Spirit if there's anything else to cover. Okay, thank you, Spirit. What are the energies? And do you know what? This is the first reading from this deck where I've ever had that Tower card come out. Devil. Okay. For some of us, there's some toxicity still, and I suspect that toxicity is in the communication, the connections. Yeah. You need to set those boundaries because this devil energy, this is the energy of obsession, the energy of addictions. What is it you're still addicted to? Is there something in your connections or in one or two significant connections where you're addicted perhaps to how it feels, and so you won't set your boundaries even though you know that those boundaries are making you, the lack of boundaries making you feel uncomfortable, or you're not being connecting in the way that would enhance your life? Are there some people you still need to cut out completely? Okay, because this is about, it could be a person, there could be some toxic energy, a toxic person, but it could be yourself. What about you is still toxic? What about you are you still holding on to that is no longer serving you? It could be in your habits, in your relationships, but I do feel quite strongly it's about relationships and connections, and about Spirit saying stand up and be like the triggerfish. Set those boundaries, okay? Because if you don't, then hey, the Tower is going to come in. And if the Tower comes in, Towers are nerving because it's sudden, we're not prepared for it, and then we suddenly have to find the tools within us to somehow get ourselves back together and regenerate and transform. We're capable of doing it, but most people like to be in control. Most people like to feel that they're the ones controlling the change that's taking place in their lives. Okay, we then have the Nine of Wands. Okay, and when we have the Ten of Cups. Okay, and then finally, as a bonus, we have the Two of Swords. Right, so let's just quickly go through those cards that I haven't gone into in detail. So we've talked about the Devil. All right, now the Nine of Wands is very much a card of, can you see how she looks kind of defensive, doesn't she? Okay, I'll pick it up, sorry, in a minute. Right. Can you see that one? This is about your determination and your resilience. It's a last defense, a final push, but it's also excitement for what's coming. And it's about finding motivation in the difficulty. So it's a card that's saying, don't give up. You're almost there. This is your last defense. This is the last time that you're going to have to maybe do this clearing out, consciously have to push to feel secure or to realize your achievements. And the key message here is push beyond your own limitations, okay? But be open and trusting and believe and know that you can do what you need to do, all right? This may be a resilient last stand, and I think for some of us, this setting of the boundaries feels like a last stand. It feels like, oh my God, am I gonna really have to, I'm gonna have to say this to this person, or I'm gonna have to do this to make this change in this connection. I'm gonna have to have a word with that boss. I'm gonna have to speak to that colleague. I'm gonna have to change how I interact with that elder and make it clear what my needs are and what I expect. And that's the last stand. This is the resilience and this, but clearing this energy, because there's something devilish about that connection. There's something about that energy that you either is operating through fear and you're kind of obsessed. There's a fear energy, or when it says obsession or addiction, we automatically think substances, but we can be addicted to habits. We can have ingrained ways of being that we are addicted to. We just revert to a particular way of being because that's how we've always done it, and that's what keeps the peace, and perhaps that is the addiction. So your last stand is clearing this, okay? We then had the Ten of Cups, because at the end of it, everything is coming. And we've had this card a few times. The Ten of Cups is absolute wish fulfillment. It is, look at it, you've got everything you want. You've got rainbows, your cups are full, the sun is shining. For some of you who want family life and stability and children, it's all available to you. You've got the love, you've got the emotional balance and security, not just as an individual, but also from a significant other, whether that be male or female. So the Ten of Cups is a very fortuitous card to get. And it just indicates that at the end of the reading, what you want, you're going to achieve it, but you've got to do, there's a last stand. Yeah, there's a few more things that we need to deal with. And for those of you for whom this resonates, you will know what those connections are and what that relationship is. This is the card of love, the love for community love. It's about harmony in your relationships. Within your family relationships, it's about divine connections, it's about your heart opening, it's about expansion. And so this is what is available to you, if you do the work, if you are the trigger fish and face, yeah, if you take that last stand, clear this devilish energy that is holding you back, because this is what's waiting for you. So you really do need to do that. And if you don't, hey, what's coming will come suddenly when you do the work, okay? But if not, Spirit will do it for you. And when Spirit does it for you, it kind of knocks you off your feet a little bit. So those of you who are listening for whom this resonates, you know what it's talking about. You have it within you. And you notice this is about you doing the work. Look, how many cards do we have where you've got a solitary person here? This is about you. You have to do this. No one else is going to come and do it for you, okay? Stepping out on her own, knows where she's going. Stepping away from any drama, tragedy, disappointment, hurt, heartbreak. Finally, on your own. You've done this. You took the chance. You stepped out. You have cleared and walked away from it. This is your final push, okay? And you need to congratulate yourselves, because I think with these solitary cards, Spirit is recognizing that you've known there are many devils that you faced and that you have cleared away. And Spirit is proud of you for that. But there's just one more that you need to deal with, and that is connected to the boundaries that you need to set for yourself. Now, the final card that came out here was the Two of Swords. And with the swords, as we know, they're about your mental body and about the mind, the tricks that the mind plays, the state of the mind. The Two of Swords clearly is a card of a crossroads, and it recognizes it is a difficult choice for you to have to make. For some of you, this standing your ground, setting your boundaries is a challenge, and I think Spirit's recognizing that, okay? But you've got to choose the best route. Choose the best route of action, okay? It's time to make that choice. It might feel like you're between a rock and a hard place. If you can't decide which way to go, you must move, but you've got to move in some direction. So what my advice would be is to trust yourself, move towards the light, move towards what feels good, trust your intuition, because when you do and you take that final stand, then that's what's waiting for you, okay? That is what's waiting for you. So yes, it's a challenge, and Spirit recognizes that, but Spirit's saying if you do make the choice, make a choice. It's difficult, you know, you don't know what the outcome's going to be, and it may feel challenging, but take the chance, make the final stand. because that's what's waiting for you. So I am just going to now ask for what advice Spirit has for us. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use the wisdom of the oracle. So Spirit, thank you. What advice do you have for us? What advice? Oh, nice. That one leapt out. Okay. Never-ending story. And I think we had this one last week as well. Okay. Never-ending story. If we don't clear, it will be a never-ending story. You will just be going round and round and round and round, okay? Dealing with the same thing, okay? So let me just read from the book, see if there's anything else I need to add to that message. Okay, so self-criticism, wounded ego, and unnecessary dramas. So we need to clear those out, don't we? My beautiful collective. Right. There is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you couldn't do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, sacred, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the choice, the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. The relationship message. Sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to success of a relationship. Consider how valuable this knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. Oh my goodness. So the advice that Spirit's given us, it makes sense now. This devilish energy is the addiction that we have to our story, the parts of our story that are holding us back. The boundaries that we don't set for ourselves with our relationships with others, but also the boundaries that we don't set for ourselves in terms of how we think about ourselves and what we say to ourselves and the stories that we continue to. Remember, I said there was a lot of solitary energy. So this is very much about ourselves. And it's what never-ending story are you continuing to tell yourself? Remember, all these 3 solitary elements. This is about us. It's about yourself. Where are you addicted to a story? Like it says, you know, things you shouldn't do, places you mustn't go, things you mustn't say. Where are you holding yourself back? That is your addiction. That is the toxicity. And once you clear that toxicity out, okay, this is what's waiting for you. What a lovely reading. So very much focusing on, this is a week to go into you and really just dig out, really sweep away the cobwebs and really look at where in my life am I, wow, holding myself back. Okay, thank you, Spirit. So those 2 leapt out straight away. So we have the stag. Spirit's telling us to trust and thrive. Trust yourself. Trust the choices that you make. And again, this card told us, isn't it? When you don't know what to do, trust your intuition. Okay? Because you do know what you want. Okay? And the peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. Okay? And I think that was mentioned, I can't remember which card, but one other card mentioned that, about letting go of the need to be right. When we're setting our boundaries, it's not about right and wrong, okay? But it is about what's right for you. It is about loving self, All of these cards are about self, loving self, and doing what's right for you. So, last couple of messages. I want to see what, I'd like to see what the chakra energy cards have to tell us. All right. Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you. This one leapt up. Vulnerability. Showing vulnerability, sorry, is a sign of strength. Okay. So if these interactions, if these boundary setting is to do with connections and other people outside of yourself, then be vulnerable as you do so. Okay. It isn't about charging in like a bull in a china shop and being right, and these people hurt me and I don't want to be spoken to like that. And no. It's about the vulnerability. It's about asserting your right to defend your boundaries. Okay. But also about accepting that there is this and that at the same time. Do you remember the dolphin? Saying that it's also this and that at the same time. So as well as you being right doesn't mean that they're wrong. The way that they may be speaking, or the way that it may, doesn't mean that they're necessarily doing it from a place of harm. Okay, remember, things can be this and that at the same time. So bearing that in mind, but also remember when you're dealing with yourself as well, that it's not just black and white. Okay, some of those things that you're doing for yourself, that you've done to yourself, those voices, they can be no longer serving you, okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean that they were done from a place of cruelty or from a place to put you down. They can be just from a place of, that's what those people knew at the time, and you unfortunately internalized those messages and have continued to do so. So, Spirit very, very keenly telling us it is time to take away the final cobwebs. Yeah? Dust out the things that are negative for us, all right? But as we do so, let go of any need to be right. Be vulnerable in your interactions, and also, I think quite acutely, be vulnerable with yourself too, okay? Be gentle with yourself. This is your last stand, your last push before the bliss, the peace, the abundance, the prosperity, the ease and the peace of the life that you wanted for yourself. That's been your message for today. I've been Insightful Angel. Please, if you're still here, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget my free reading for anyone watching today's video who leaves me an animal emoji and a brief reason as to why they deserve that free reading. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.